My name is Ryan Gourley. I'm the territory manager for South Florida. I just recently moved to that position. I was the channel manager for the entire state, just moved over to the territory manager last week, so somewhat new position for me. But I've been here for 2.5 years, been a great company, and I'll explain why here in a few minutes. So quick agenda, I'm gonna do the who, what, why of Veeam and why you should care. I'll try to keep it as high level as possible, and if you wanna get a little bit deeper, I'll be in the booth afterwards and come over and talk to me. So this is what I call my ADD slide. I know we all live in this world, this Twitter world, where in about 5 minutes, everyone's gonna be down on their phones. You thought you cared, but you really don't. You're on your phone, you're looking down, you're at Facebook, you're on Twitter. So this is my 30-second, if you forget everything else, just remember this. So what is Veeam? Veeam is the leading backup and replication software for the modern data center. And when I say modern data center, what do I mean by that? I mean, anyone who's using VMware or Hyper-V, if you're virtualized, we can protect that environment. So why are companies, or what companies are looking at Veeam, or why are they moving to Veeam? Because they're having challenges with their current solution, either technical or financial. Say the renewal's coming up and it's a huge renewal for the current backup, or there's technical shortcomings. And I'll get into some of those shortcomings here in a second. But at the end of the day, people are unhappy with the legacy built software that was built 15, 20 years ago, and they're trying to fix a virtual problem with a physical tool. And that's why we've been so successful. And why are customers moving over to Veeam? The pricing is very, very predictable. We're priced per socket. We don't charge you per terabyte. We do not charge you per VM or per agent. It's very predictable, and you can kind of manage your growth as you grow as an organization. And then the features, the modern features, we have the high-speed recovery, instant VM recovery, guaranteed recoverability, and a virtual sandbox. And it's easy to use. So if you forget anything else, you can get down to your phones now and you can check the emails. So who is Veeam? Veeam, I already mentioned, we're a backup replication for your virtualized environments. And we have currently 183,000 customers. I've been here for 2 years. When I started, we had 90,000 customers. So in over 2 years, we've already doubled our size. 37,000 partners and 3,500 new customers a month. And let's bring that down to the local level. In Florida, I'm seeing about a customer a day. So I had 350 new customers last year sign up for Veeam in Florida. So we're experiencing hyper growth. It's a fun time to be here, and it's been a fun ride. So 2,000 employees, and what's significant about that is 40% of those employees are in R&D. So we're always adding functionality, always adding features to the product. And then we're in the Fortune 500, we're in the Global 2K. If you want to come and talk to me afterwards, there's a lot of local partners I can reference, but I don't like to name drop for discrepancy reasons, or discretionary reasons. So quick customer growth, kind of a snapshot. The end of 2015, we're at 183,000. I think this month we're going to hit 200,000. So like again, it's just a fun place to be. We're in hyper adaptation rate right now, and I'm going to show you why. So what's the market showing right now? What do we see in the market? We see that organizations are moving toward this virtualized environment. This is no surprise to any of us. Organizations are adapting with Hyper-V and VMware. And what we're seeing is that I think in Florida it's even a larger percentage, but they say that 60% of the Fortune 500 are penetrated, and that's going to grow to over 80%. And the challenge we're seeing there is that a third, this is all from Gartner, a third of organizations will actually change their backup vendor due to frustration over either the cost, complexity, or lack of capabilities there. And the reason is because they're trying to do that virtual backup with a physical backup tool. So it wasn't meant for that, and it's not adapting well. And so that's why we're seeing such a large growth. And so like I say, I listen to all the other speakers, and I'm hearing the same buzzwords. I'm hearing the always on, I'm hearing availability. And this is the same terminology we use, so I know that we're actually in the same market. We're seeing the same things, the same trends. So we live in this always on era, and I would like to talk to IT directors and CIOs. They say, what if you were responsible for that environment right there? Hopefully you never have that kind of a conversation, the resume-generated event where there's an outage and then someone's on either side of this conversation, someone's feeling it. So at Veeam we say backup is easy. All the legacy solutions can back up your data, but the difference is in the recovery. I'm not sure if anyone here has ever worked on one of those tape. So that's not our product right there. We're just an image. So like I said, a Veeam backup is easy, but the recovery is not. With some of these legacy tools, when you go to make the recovery, that's when the rubber meets the road. And with Veeam, shockingly enough, the recovery, we make that easy. So what we're seeing, the current trends, organizations are modernizing their data centers. They want to do that because they want to provision the IT services faster, strengthen security and control, and lower the operational costs. Nothing crazy there. How are they doing that? They're investing in virtualization, modern storage, and cloud. Would you agree to that? Sure, a couple heads nodding, sure. And why? What's the challenges they're trying to overcome? They want to have that 24/7 operations. I've heard that already 3 times today. There's no more patience for downtime or data loss, and they're growing amount of data. So what happens, organizations are spending millions of dollars on the virtualization, the modern storage, and the cloud, but what they tend to update is that legacy backup. So their RTOs and RPOs are usually hours and days. So what's the RTO and RPO? That's a recovery time objective and a recovery point objective. So that's usually hours and days. You lose a server, how many hours does it take to bring that back up? Less than 6% of the backups are tested quarterly, and more than 16% of the backups actually fail during recovery. What actually organizations and CIOs desire is that availability requirements of RTPOs, recovery time and point objective, of sub 15 minutes, 100% of the backups tested and you know that they're recoverable, and be able to test the upgrades and patches before you roll up into an environment. So we have what we call a virtual sandbox, which I'll get into briefly here, where you can test any upgrades or patches before you roll out into production. And the survey showed that 82% of CIOs, there was a gap between what they currently are able to offer their end users and what they want to offer the end users. So Veeam fills that gap, and I'll explain why on the next slide. So Veeam has our 5 pillars to fill that gap. We have what we call high-speed recovery. Does this thing have a pointer? It does not. High-speed recovery, data loss avoidance, verified protection, leverage data, and complete visibility. I'm not going to go through every single feature and dive into them. What I really want to do is just leave you with some questions, and if there's something that you can't answer for your environment and it's something that's got you thinking, come over and talk to me afterwards. Because I know 15 minutes is not a lot of time, and I know there's some wine waiting. So the 5 questions to ask yourself: how quickly can you recover what you need? How do you reduce the risk of data loss? How do you verify data recoverability? How do you leverage backup data to test new software and patches? And how do you gain visibility in your backup and virtual environments? So the one semi-technical slide or feature slide I'm going to show you, this is the last one here, the 5 ways, the 5 pillars that we can help solve those problems. High-speed recovery. So with Veeam, we pioneered instant VM recovery. We can spin up a VM in 2 minutes if you lose that. So rapid recovery of what you want and when you want it, and we can even crack open Explorer database, Active Directory, SQL, and pull back individual items from that. So data loss avoidance, near continuous data protection, and streamlined disaster recovery. So we do have, it is called backup and replication, so we do allow you to replicate to another site, all built in for the same cost. Verified protection, so we guarantee the recoverability of every file, application, or virtual server every time. So when we do the backup, we'll actually do a checksum, do a VMware heartbeat test, check the tools, and then make sure that data is recoverable, and then send you a report at the end of the day to make sure you know that that data is recoverable. And if it doesn't, we'll let you know as well. Leverage data, like I mentioned before, we do have a virtual sandbox, so before you roll out a Microsoft patch or any upgrades, we'll allow you to test that in an isolated environment before you roll that out into production. And then lastly, proactive monitoring and alerting, so capacity planning, unprotected VMs, all this is built in our availability suite. We have full visibility into your backups and your virtual environment. With that said, I told you I'd talk fast. I want to keep the party going, and any questions, I'll be at the booth afterwards. Thank you.